the director of an indie comedy. Brandon Dermer is here to talk to us about I'm Totally Fine. It's the story of we need to switch our graphic.
Yeah.
Why did I not? I got to stay on top of this stuff.
There you go.
Something like there we go. Something like that. There we go. I'm Totally Fine is about two friends, and it begins as they're going to celebrate their business together, and one of the friends passes away, but the party must go on. That friend then shows up in the form of, it's almost like that. It's not like this, but it's similar to the John Carpenter movie with Jeff Bridges.
Starman.
Starman. It's similar to that, where she is she's manifested, an alien is kind of manifested in the form of her best friend. And the actresses, if you've heard of Jillian Bell, great comedic actress, Natalie Morales is in it. She's the friend who passes away. And I'm just going to give you a tease of the story. And it's about resolving aspects of their relationship. It's also about loss. It's also very funny because she plans a big party and she can't stop. The party planners just show up and start setting up all the party stuff for this big party that we're going to have. But she tragically passed away. It is an indie sci-fi comedy from director Brandon Dermer, who is joining us on the show today. Brandon, hey man, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Cool. How did you? Well, first of all, I love indie sci-fi. I like taking a very simple concept. I mean, it may have been inspired a little bit by Starman. This is not Starman. Maybe inspired by a little bit, but it's definitely not that film. Where'd you get the idea for this? How did you pull it together with Jillian and Natalie? And clearly you had a good time making this film.
Yeah, so it started in the midst of 2020, my own personal struggles with the uncertainty of the world. I don't deal with uncertainty in general very well. It spikes my anxiety, and 2020 was uncertainty cranked to 11. And, talking to my incredible therapist, I started to realize that the moment I stopped trying to control everything and realized I can't control the world or the situation that was going on to everyone, I was able to be present and slightly happier. And when I wanted to figure out a way to explore that emotion, I thought, what better way than with a alien? And I was inspired by films like Starman and other great genre films from the 80s and 90s. And I thought, this is a really interesting way to talk about and explore the idea of loss and trying to control loss, which we can't do. And at that point, I went to my friend, Alicia Keetrey, who's a brilliant writer. She's a writer on American Dad. I met her back in film school in Chicago, waiting tables together. And we started to crack this idea together. And then I just so happened to see that my friend Kyle Newacek, a fabulous director, mentor figure, posted that he just did a commercial over Zoom in the pandemic. And I was about to do my first pandemic commercial. So I reached out looking for some guidance, and he asked what I was working on. And I brought up this concept, dealing with loss of control through this supernatural, absurdist sort of idea. And he said, I want to make that. And he said, who do you have in mind? And I said, Jillian Bell. Alicia and I have thought Jillian Bell since day one. And he said, let me give her a call. And then Jillian was on board. And then she said, I want to work with Natalie Morales. We said, oh my God, that'd be incredible. And she said, let me give her a call. And then she called Natalie. And this whole thing came together, over the phone and over Zoom. It started in July of 2020. And then we were shooting in December of 2020 in the height of the pandemic, which was a challenge.
Well, I think then also we didn't really know what all the rules were. And it's funny when the whole world becomes very acutely aware of their own mortality, when all of us at once are like, hey, we could all die. Like that definitely, I think, amped up a lot of anxiety. I think that also social media has contributed to that. I notice you're not on Twitter at all.
I'm not on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I got rid of Twitter actually at the beginning of the year just for my own, it's a self-care moment going on in my life right now. I turned 30, I turned 36. I got engaged. I got the movie. And again, this movie was inspired, honestly, through my therapist. I gave her a special thanks. I don't know if that's ethical or not, but because she really helped me sort of figure out how to grapple with this stuff. And I don't know, Twitter became such a bummer. And now it's, a huge bummer. But even at the beginning of the year, I just found every time I got on there, I got sort of bummed out. So that's why I got off Twitter. I still like Instagram. It's photos. They make me happy. And I get to see video. But yeah, I got off Twitter.
Well,
do you guys ever consider getting off Twitter?
I'm on Twitter for work and to doom scroll every once in a while. Kind of doom scroll.
The interesting thing for me, I was on there for work and I was never getting the same traction as I would Instagram. Maybe because the visual thing, I put a 30-second clip. Someone sees it, they reach out. I retweet an article and I had like 3,000 followers and nobody cared. But I hope it comes back around.
Well, I try to control the number of people I follow. I think that helps.
That's smart.
But let's go to first of all, congratulations on the film. It is out now on video on demand. Is that correct?
This Friday. Out on video demand, and then in select theaters in certain cities.
Oh, that's fantastic. Great. We have questions from our chat. There's like 350 people watching us live on YouTube. Let's go to Sean Z Comic Construct says, Brandon, your cast is solid. Who really impressed you with their approach to your story?
I mean, Jillian has, as we all have, we wanted to make the story about loss because it's universal. And we wanted people to be able to see themselves and their own anxiety and stresses through this film, whether it's the loss of a person, the loss of a marriage, the loss of a dog, the loss of anything, any sort of control. And Jillian brought her own personal experiences of loss and grievances and really fully put it out there in this film. And then Natalie's interpretation of the alien is just phenomenal. What I tasked her with, and she performed beautifully, was, the alien could just be a gimmick and it could be one note and it could be a device for the whole movie. But I really wanted you to follow her arc as well. And I thought if the audience could feel for the alien as much as they do Jillian, they could feel for her experience through this story. I feel like we'd really win. And she did a phenomenal job.
What was it like creating the alien character with Natalie? How were the choices made and discussed about?
So first it started in the scripting with Alicia and then Kyle Newacek, the producer. When we were shaping this whole story, we really talked about how much we wanted to answer as far as the alien life form in the mythology and how much we didn't, but we talked all of it. And then we put the pieces in there that we wanted to, but we shared that all with Natalie. And then it was Natalie and I getting on Zoom and sort of talking at one another as an alien. And thinking about the approach of, it's almost like you're a newborn baby, but in an adult body. You're experiencing humans and reactions and emotions for the first time, and you're reacting in real time. So we did a lot of that. And then by nature of the movie, we started this in July of 2020 and shooting in December. So we didn't have crazy amount of time to do rewrites and multiple passes. So every day on set, we would learn new things based on the way that Jillian and Natalie would interact with one another. And every night and every morning, myself, Alicia, Jillian, Natalie, and Kyle, we'd throw up the script on a TV. We'd all be in, we just come back from our disgusting COVID spit test and then mask, face shield. It looked like something out of ET, and we'd be looking at a shared TV and just punch up the script based on what we learned in real time, watching this alien sort of, learn off of Jillian's performance.
We got some more comments and questions here. Craig S says, just watch the trailer. I've got to see this. I actually laughed. So rare these days.
Thank you, Craig.
Dempsey asks, do you have a favorite axe?
Oh, because my guitars. I'm by the way, my background, it's a Peloton of guitars. It's so ridiculous. I don't. That Fender was like $150 little Fender. I'm like a failed musician turned director. I played in screamo bands in the 2000s in high school and college, and made better music videos than the music we were making. So I think my favorite axe is probably that cheap little Fender. But I have it through this Line 6 amp that comes with like all these sort of preset, like I always play the Cowboys from Hell preset distortion, and it just makes anything you do sound fantastic.
So the question is, which one do you play while you're on your Peloton?
Oh my God, probably the acoustic, as I'm just sadly, strumming along, trying to distract myself.
Greasy Vop asks, is it more sci-fi or more comedy?
I think it's more dramedy. It's really this tightrope act of, you're laughing and you're in sci-fi, then you're really thinking and introspective and just sort of weaving through all of that. You'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll.
I mean, the science fiction is kind of the way to explore the relationship between the two friends. That's sort of the conduit and the setup. So, but this is why I love like indie sci-fi, because it more explores the realm of ideas rather than spectacle. So
Absolutely. Yes, that was the whole thing of the movie. We wanted to get clever of like she, Natalie's character, this alien, not only does she get to visually look like her, she has all of her memories. And Jillian's character, who's trying to control the situation, being like, I'm just having a mental breakdown. You're a figment of my imagination. She's trying to poke holes in it. But slowly she starts to learn these truths from Natalie's past lives that were never shared between their friendship. Things that she thought went one way, she actually starts to find out through these memories, and then fact checking through family and friends that maybe I'm not hallucinating this, and maybe this knowledge of this memory that they attained, maybe the past wasn't what I thought it was.
What I like is that it's not your traditional, hey, I'm talking to my friend's ghost, but I'm talking to the embodiment of my friend who is clearly not my friend, but knows everything about my friend.
Yes, exactly.
Solomon Thornton asked, Brandon, how did you budget this film? Can't wait to see it. It must have been challenging during the pandemic, right?
Yeah, so I brought on Jonas Dolkart, who is a producer I've worked with in music videos and commercials for years. And my music videos have always been short films dressed as music videos. And music video budgets are small, and they're often tasked with making them in a day. So we were sort of greased up and cut our teeth, doing that. And we were ready to approach this. And we also worked backwards. Another thing that inspired this was I had a different movie going into 2020, this big action comedy at a studio, and the pandemic killed it. And I thought, I have to actually get something made. So I'm going to work backwards. And I looked towards the film, The One I Love. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie, another great sci-fi indie starring Mark Duplass and Elizabeth Moss. They're both stuck in a house. They find out. Yep. So yeah, I looked at films like that for inspiration of how can I tell a high concept story, but low budget and contained. And then, yeah, it was just right place and right time of emotions flying at me. And then Jonas, great budgeting. We did this with a very small crew.
Well, you mentioned Mark Duplass. I'm a big fan of the Duplass brothers and the films that they do, from The Puffy Chair to, I'm sure you've seen the Creep films.
Mm-hmm.
Creep is great. And it's literally just like the cast is like two people. It's so awesome.
Yes.
It should inspire you. Retro Nerd Girl says, this sounds so clever. I can't wait to see this.
Thank you.
Retro Nerd Girl, love her. Spidey Sensei 72 says, just watch the trailer. This looks pretty good. Definitely has that Starman vibe. Brock Samsonite asks, is it dark humor?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a very sweet film, but there is dark humor because we are exploring death. We are exploring the very harsh reality of death.
Well, Greasy Vop asks, Brandon, did you use inspiration from any real life alien encounters?
Only just the drives I've done, to Vegas a few times when you're out there and you're looking out at and the sunset's coming and you're like looking for things in the sky.
Let's see. Dempsey asks, can we find any of your music anywhere? Let's get him to be a successful musician too. Indie support is love.
Oh man, I don't know. I should put on the internet. My band in high school was called Cellar Door, named after Donnie Darko, which is just perfect high school band name. I actually met Richard Kelly at a rap party for one of my music videos early on. He was friends with one of the actors, and I told him that. And then my band in college was called Football Weather. I don't know if any of that music. I definitely have it on like an old iPod somewhere.
All Twisted Up says, I saw the trailer for this a while ago and was anxious to see it, but forgot the name. Thank you for this reminder. And Stevie Stein 69 asks, what well-known IP would you want to tackle if given the chance?
Oh man, Last Action Hero. I love that movie so much.
Wow. That's one that you could definitely update for sure.
Right. And I feel like you can use it like in a way where like 21 Jump Street didn't just like redo it. They reinvented it and used the best parts and flipped it on its head. That's a film I would love to explore.
Cool. And final question here from Sean Z. Comic Construct says, Brandon, you mentioned the anxiety factor, and I relate to that. what are you trying to get the audience to see and take away from your film, bro? I don't know. The bro, we have a very familiar. Our audience is very familiar with.
You're already a bro.
Yeah, you're already a bro.
I mean that makes me feel nice. I feel welcomed. I just want people to take away the thing I try to remind myself every day. That is just everything's gonna be okay. You can't control everything, and the sooner you stop trying to control every outcome, the easier things get. I got to practice what I preach in this movie.
Well, I will say, like, I think it's, definitely there are dark comedy aspects to it, but I want to warn everybody, you got me at the end. You got me at the end. It doesn't shy away from emotion. Let's just say.
May I ask you, did their relationship get you, or did Jillian, or did Natalie's character?
No, it was their relationship and the idea of losing a friend and the ridiculousness of, this is in the beginning of the movie. I actually don't want to give away anything at the end, but like when she's distraught and then they're showing up with all the party stuff and she can't cancel the party. Like it's completely ridiculous.
Because there's a law. That's
yeah,
like
legally, we just got Giphies made for the movie, and that's one of them. And I'm like, I really hope people start using this when it's like, hey, let's go out tonight. Like, I don't want to, and I hope people start sending like, I legally have to have a party.
A couple more quick questions, if you don't mind, because
absolutely
people want to ask. Blah blah says he would totally make a great last action hero movie. The Common Nerd says, Brandon, Molly is an interesting choice. Personal experience. Well, nice trailer. Looks great, man.
Awesome.
That's
never done Molly.
Right.
I've never done Molly.
And Dempsey says, I got to practice what I preach in this movie. That is one of the best things I have heard all day. It's definitely life affirming. I just want to say that. I don't want to give up too much, but it does make a lot of sense that this kind of came from anxiety, and that like when we all, God, just thinking back to the beginning of all the, pandemic stuff, when we're seeing like numbers, when they were doing the running numbers, like how does that not drive everyone just, just, you could drive anyone into a spiral with something like that. It was just
the control. You're like, okay, I'm going to wash my groceries because that is what I'm committed to. Then they're like, you don't actually have to wash your groceries. Like, oh fuck, okay, so I'm not going to do that anymore. Like you create all these rules in your head to make it. You're taking in information. You try to figure out what's right, but really we're all just figuring it out in real time.
Yeah, bizarre. Brandon, congratulations. Brandon Dermer, congratulations on the film. I'm Totally Fine. It will be out Friday on video on demand, also in limited release in theaters. If you have an opportunity, go see it in a theater. Brandon, thanks for joining us on the Film Threat Livecast. This is great.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Cool. All right. And come back when you make your next movie. Don't forget us.
Yes, please. Chris, I've been a fan for a long, long time. You've supported music videos of mine throughout the years.
Oh, really?
Whether you know it or not. So yeah, I've been a fan for a long time. You were a big send up for my Necrogoblicon video in 2012.
Nate D says, ask him about Necrogoblicon.
Yeah. You were one of the early, I don't know if you even remember, supporters of that video. And that video, I could trace back to that music video. That's how I met Blake Anderson and then Kyle. So I love you guys. Thank you. Dude,
that's awesome. We'll come back, even if you're doing a big studio thing, we had Greg Matola on the show. We had Neil LaBute. We've had like directors that are doing bigger studio things. They'll come on and talk to us. So we appreciate you coming by to tell us the film is out. So check it out. Thank you so much. Take care. Have a great rest of your afternoon.
Yeah, thank you.
You too. Later, guys.
Later. Thanks. That was great.
Necro Gobbler Con. What the hell is that?
Necro Gobbler Con.